Oh man, welcome to Eyes Wide Open Podcast. This is episode half. On today's mini episode, I discuss a little bit about UFC 308 and also Donald Trump appearing on Joe Rogan. UFC 308 was an incredible card, but I really just want to touch on the co-main and main event. One of my favorite fighters is Khamzat Chimaev, but a lot of people were saying he's not battle tested. There were a couple of fights where he looked less than stellar against guys who were coming up from 170, but I think he answered all the questions in this fight. I mean, I was stunned. Nobody does that to Robert Whittaker. People don't know, but Robert Whittaker is actually a very good wrestler. He wrestles in the New Zealand national team. Nobody really beats him up, takes him down like that. And when I was watching the fight, I saw Khamzat. I knew Khamzat was going to shoot early on. He took him down, but then Robert was defending really well, and he stood up. And I said, oh, Khamzat is going to be in for some trouble right now. Took him right back down. And then the finish, oh my goodness. We can't talk about the finish here because of copyright, but you got to go back and watch. It was craziest squeeze I've ever seen in my life. Being a person that practices jiu-jitsu, I know there's some guys that have that crazy anaconda squeeze, and Khamzat definitely has that. Moving on from the co-main event, we go to Toria taking on Max Holloway. This one's a little bit bittersweet for me. I'm a huge Max Holloway fan. I don't think I know anybody that's not a Max Holloway fan, but it kind of felt like this is Toria's night. Max Holloway was doing good. He was firing on all cylinders. He was getting his shots in, but it just felt like when Toria landed, there was just a little bit more sting on those punches. And I could see that Max was feeling him a little bit more. When Max was landing, and Toria just didn't seem like he was being too distracted by those punches. So I knew that it could have been getting close to the end. I didn't think he was going to knock Max out, though. I thought it might have been maybe a really good decision for him. Someone could fact check me on this. But I think this is the first time Max has ever been knocked down. I know it's the first time he's been knocked out, but definitely the first time he's been knocked down as well as knocked out, which I don't think it's the end. Max is a young man. He's still 32. I hope he comes back. Everybody loves Max Holloway. He's a fighter's fighter. But I think Toria is that next level guy. I think he's going to be holding the belt for a little bit. He's 27 years old. He's looking pretty unstoppable right now. In other news, going into a little bit of politics. Now, I'm not overtly political, but I mean, it's big news. I think it's over 30 million views right now. Everybody knows Donald Trump was on Joe Rogan. I didn't watch the entire interview. I saw about 30, 40 minutes of it, but I gotta say, Donald Trump is he's just natural at this stuff. The interview went smooth. They had conversations. Joe even said a couple times Trump was doing the weave. He was trying to get him off topic a little bit. And, Joe Rogan pulled him back in. But it was just like you have a conversation with anybody else. They were going back and forth. He was asking him questions, he was challenging him. And it was 3 hours long. I don't know if I could sit down for 3 hours and have a conversation and still have things to talk about. So it's pretty incredible. Joe also said that he extended the hand as well to Kamala for her to come on the podcast. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I know Kamala, if she'll be good at this, not good at this. But all we've seen so far in the media, I don't think this would be a good climate for her to sit and have a conversation where it's unscripted. And I don't even think it's because of her. I don't know if it's her fault or not. Like I said, I'm not overtly political. Obviously, we could tell by my athletic prowess, I'm going to kind of lean towards Donald Trump. But I think Kamala, it's bad. It's a bad rap for her, being that she's in the Democratic Party and there's so many guidelines. I watched her do her town hall on CNN, and it looked like she was in pain trying to answer the questions because there's so many rules as to what you can say, what you cannot say. Even your tone can be considered negative when you have a party that have all these rules on you. So it puts her at a disadvantage. She'll be asked a question, she's not going to know what she could say, what she cannot say, how can she answer it, what other groups she has to include in it. So it's not a good atmosphere for her. So I don't think she's going to do it. Joe did not say. He said that she didn't refuse, but she hasn't agreed to it, and the election is next week. So I don't see her doing it. This is our rapid fire segment. We have a stopwatch on there. So remember, it is 30 seconds each question. And after the 30 seconds is up, that's it. You forever hold your peace. That's the end of that segment. And we move on to the next question. So, without further ado, what is the first question?
Best sport and why?
Best sport, that is an easy one. The best sport, hands down, is, of course, wrestling. Wrestling just contains all of the aspects of a good athlete. You have to be strong. You have to be fast. You have to have mental toughness, and you also have perseverance. In addition to all of those things, there is no real glory in wrestling. It's a real niche community, and sometimes your friends and family don't even know what you're doing. You tell them you're wrestling, and they ask you if you're going to hit somebody with a chair. All right, that's it. That's the end of that one. And we reset, and next question.
Is toxic masculinity real?
I think toxic masculinity is real. Obviously, it's overblown, where people act like toxic masculinity is innate in a man or a young boy. A lot of times, toxic masculinity manifests itself when young guys don't know how to be men because they're not around men, so they feel the need to, as the adults used to tell us when we were kids, we're showing out. We're asserting ourselves because we don't have a lot of good role models around us. So we tend to just exaggerate. Oh.
Thoughts on legalizing marijuana?
Legalizing marijuana. This will get me into some trouble with the right-leaning folks, but I am completely libertarian on drugs. Me personally, don't smoke, don't drink, don't do any drugs, not into any of that stuff. But I don't think my personal preference should have to impose myself on other people. I think you should be able to do what you want responsibly. I prefer you not do it, but I don't think I should impose those rules on you. And I don't think the law should penalize people for personal decisions. Next question.
What's the biggest threat to democracy?
Biggest threat to democracy, hands down, is free speech. If you can't talk, you're not free. If you're not free to say what you want, then it's just not freedom. And if you want to stop people from believing in crazy conspiracy theories, the best cure is sunlight. You have to have it out there so people can see that these ideas are bad. And that's the only way for you to preserve a democracy, is have everybody saying what they need to say so we can all assess who's making sense and who's not making sense. When you start silencing people, that's the end of that. I could elaborate later on.
Favorite UFC fighter?
Favorite UFC fighter, I mentioned earlier, Khamzat Chimaev. I am so glad that he is back. You know me, I'm a grappler, I'm a wrestler. This guy's a wrestler, a grappler, and this guy is a beast out there. I am so glad he's back. He's healthy, and he's going to be a problem in that 185 division. It looks like the belt is his. I don't see anybody stopping him. I think Khamzat is going to steamroll his way through there. If this guy stays healthy, he might be holding the belt for a little bit. Bo Nickel, I think, might have something to say about that. That's it. That's our 5 questions, right?
Those are our 5 questions.
Okay, our 5 questions. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. That's the end of this episode half. Next episode is going to feature a Kamala Harris supporter. Maybe not a Kamala Harris supporter, but a Democrat who also support Kamala Harris. And I just want to listen to his thoughts and why he supports the Democratic Party. Like I said, we're not an overtly political podcast, so I'm not really going to be attacking him, pushing back too much. I just want to hear. I'm not going to say the other side because I'm not really for a side, but I want to hear what are the legitimate arguments on that side, because I hear a lot of legitimate arguments on the right, but to be honest, I haven't really heard anything good on the left. and I want to hear somebody. Our guest is actually a lawyer, bar certified lawyer, so he's a very intelligent man, and I'm hoping to maybe see the positives on that side. So tune in next week, and that's going to be our first episode 1.